Okay, we're just gonna do a real quick thing here. Actually, we're just gonna go to practice mode and I'm gonna show you how I play Penny Parker. I don't know if that is the best way to do it, it just happens to be very successful for me. So, first things first, Penny is slow by default, but can get places rather quickly. So if you are in danger, then you want to use your web to kind of get out of the way very fast. Like for example here, I can just easily jump up the ledge here just by pressing F. I mean, if you play on a controller it will be different, but you get the idea. Pressing F quickly zooms you around the area. And if you, for example, really need to get to the mission area very quickly or something, it's kind of imperative that you use that to get the maximum out of your speed. That being said, speed is definitely not her focus, and her focus is also not maneuverability or anything like that. Her primary role is a tank, and as you can see my brother there placing some nests randomly. She has basically two tools to use for kind of controlling areas. That's kind of your job here. So Penny is particularly good at that and a very versatile character as far as tanks go. She's definitely not straightforward to learn, but we're gonna cover all that you need to do with her. So first things first, like I said, you have two tools that you can place on the ground. So for one, there are these mines here that will just blow up if an enemy steps in them, like this, and they deal massive damage, and you can place multiple of them at the same time. The problem is real enemies will see those and will avoid them or shoot at them to make them disappear. So you always want to do something first. First you want to put a web on the ground. Okay, that failed because I was accidentally aiming at the robot. So for example, you want to put it on the ground here, and then these mines will be hidden and the enemy will not be able to see them. So it's always good practice to put down a web and then throw the mines in there. So important thing about mines is you can use them in two ways. The kind of misleading wrong way, I would suppose, for most matches is if you just kind of use them like grenades and keep throwing them at the enemy all willy-nilly. That can work, and if you go basically feral, that will do its job. So in some cases that is good enough, and often it will just do good explosive damage. But what you want to do instead is put them in strategic places. So for example, let's look at this robot here that keeps spawning here, that is flying on a predetermined path. So if we look at this guy here, we know that he's gonna come around, for example, to this particular spot. So if we put some mines here, for example, no, he doesn't trigger them. Okay, but if an enemy gets close enough, for example, those would totally then trigger and blow up in his face. And for that purpose, it is important to know your map, know where the enemy is gonna definitely come through, and then put some, you know, mines where the enemy can't see them and will definitely run through, and then it will blow up in their face. So that's really good. So that covers the mines. Basically deploy them in areas where the opponent needs to go through. And hold on, yeah, let's do friendly fire. Where do I do that? In practice settings? Friendly fire, there we go. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So let's now, for example, place down some mines right here, and then an enemy will walk past and die, because these deal just a lot of damage all at once. And you get them relatively quickly. So this is how fast you can throw them out, and they will just keep restocking themselves. So that's as far as mines go. That's basically Penny's best damage dealing tool, because her projectiles, they are okay, and you definitely want to be using them. So you do want to if you need some damage output and you need some kills and stuff to happen, then it's good to always be shooting, of course, and you know, just keep firing your secondary action as well to stun them in between, which is always useful. But most important for Penny is deploying devices. So you want to place mines. That's a really good way of dealing damage, and then that will blow up in your opponent's faces. Next thing we're gonna talk about is another very important thing, because this is your nest. I'm gonna just drop it in the middle here and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I here, for example, can take damage, but my nest gives me automatic passive healing. Meanwhile, there are occasionally some spider mines just jumping out of the nest, and they will just run into your enemies. And I think they must be hidden as well, because they are in the web. But they are also fast, and to be honest, there's no getting away from those. So your nest buffs you, gives you healing, and debuffs your opponents, I think, in some way. So you can also get quite easy assists by using your nest wisely. And yeah, so the important thing is to always carry your nest around. So you wanna basically put the nest somewhere where the enemy kind of cannot see it very well, or kind of get to it very difficultly, but it still covers a lot of area that the enemy needs to go through, because then the mines will just land on your opponent, but they will not be able to shoot this thing down, right? So that's basically the secret. So that is something, for example, if you have a vehicle pushing mission, you wanna repeatedly pick up your nest and put it down again somewhere. And once the vehicle has been moved along further, you again pick up your nest, then it takes a little bit of time to recharge, and then it's depending on how much damage it has received, yes, but you but basically then you can redeploy it. And it also makes sense if your nest is damaged to just pick it up again, so that you can redeploy it as soon as possible. So the two most important things is hide things where the enemy can't see it, but where it affects the enemy. That goes both for the mines. You want to put them again into these narrow passageways and hide them, and put down a nest that will just in general increase the nest web radius where your mines will be hidden and stuff. And then in combination to do those two things, then you have your ultimate, and then that's where things get really crazy in terms of damage output and what you can cover with Penny as a character. So that is basically peak tanking that you are doing with the ultimate. So your role as a tank will always be at the front, basically. Take your nest with you and keep putting mines in place, but be at the front of the team, basically. And one thing that your ultimate does is basically you enter this crazy mode where she runs around completely feral. And then your main and secondary attack change to something a little bit different, but you throw mines and you slash at enemies. The advantage of your ultimate is, while you're doing that, you are spreading the web around. So you want to have your nest deployed before you enter your ultimate, and then enter your ultimate, and then you see, as I walk around here, the nest is spreading. Meanwhile, I can do the spider sweep to deal basic damage, and I can also use my right-click mouse button to throw mines while I'm doing this. And the more ground I cover while doing this, the wider the net gets. And inside this net, the enemies are basically done for. They are easy targets for your other damage dealers. You can deal easy damage to them. Basically, your ultimate is really, really powerful, especially if you combine it with your nest. So you want to place down your nest first, hide it somewhere, but then run into the enemy's area and just run around and cover the entire ground, basically. That's how you want to use your ultimate. So yeah, that's basically all I know about Penny. Again, you can also play her a little bit DPS-y if you really like, and then just keep throwing grenades at people and stuff, and then she deals a lot of damage. Another little trick that I find a little bit funny if you play against a Hulk player is that you can throw down the mines on the Hulk player while he transforms from Hulk into Bruce Banner. And then those mines will deal damage to, you know, if I just kill Hulk, for example, now. And then usually Bruce Banner has an invincibility phase right here. But the mines will still blow up in his face. So that's still a way to get a little bit of damage out at Hulk. So that's a little bit of a trick that you can do with Penny that other characters don't have as much. But, you know, since that only applies to a specific hero, it is not really that useful. But, you know, it's nice to be aware of it. If you have an Hulk as an opponent, you can use that. Yeah, just the basic other things. Again, like I showed you, you can use your web to get around places. And you can wall climb. But usually you're not gonna use them much, to be honest. Because you will be at the front of the team. You will be on the ground taking damage instead of your teammates, being healed by your own nest while it happens, and therefore you don't really have time or any reason to just run around crawling on walls. But if you need to do it, the functionality is there. So it might happen that, for example, a map has a ledge like this that you need to get up on or something, then you have a wall climb available to you, essentially. But yeah, technically what's also worth knowing, just in case you also really quickly need to get somewhere, you can also waste your ultimate for that, which is then not really a waste, I guess. But say, for example, I need to get over there really quickly, or my time runs out. For example, if we are in the last few seconds of the mission objective, and the level is the game we are about to lose or something, then you can activate this and you will be much faster. So if you need to get somewhere and you have your ultimate ready, I guess you can use it that way as well. But you know, it's not the primary intended use, I would say. So yeah, that's basically all I can teach you about Penny Parker, I think. Let me know if you find out any other particular ways to play her. I find it's best generally as a team composition. A team composition to have one tank, which can be Penny. Penny is a very good tank, as we saw. And two healers. And especially if you put your nest down and stand in the passive healing area of your nest, and you get two healers healing you up, then you are basically invincible and you can tank a lot of damage. So again, what is Penny good at? Penny is not necessarily the best at doing damage, but she's okay at it. Having two supports is definitely more important than having a tank, yes. Having two healers is the most important thing, and to be honest, having two damage dealers as well. Because you just need to get the damage out in this game, but you know. Yeah, mobility she has some, but it's not really her main focus, and you can really defend an entire area very well on your own.
Here comes trouble.
If you ever get into a situation where you run headfirst into the enemies and no one else is coming with you, then that is not your failing, then it is the failing of your teammates not catching up with you. It is your job to basically be at the front. And if your healers are not doing the job, then you will die. But, you know, that's something that is true for every character. So yeah. Yeah, that's all I know is about Penny. She is, again, like my almost most played character, and definitely the character that I'm the best at. So I will say I know a little bit about her. So I think these advices are probably at least not very wrong. So I hope these are useful to you. Anyway, see you another time then.